guys, this is Lauren back from Etheric Tide with a weekly pick a card to see some of the energies that are coming up for you in the coming week or weeks. These are general in readings, so take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I do apologize for some of the sound that you might be hearing. Hopefully it's not too loud. We just got some roadworks that are happening out in my street. So yeah, without further ado, you can feel into it, pick 1, 2 or 3, or if you aren't particularly drawn to anyone, you can listen to all of the readings. So we'll start with number 1. Okay, for those who chose number 1, we have the Judgment card. So Judgment usually comes up when we're making a discerning or change within our lives, where we're reviewing something that maybe has been present or very prominent in our lives for many, many years. It could come in the form of somebody presenting a habit or a pattern of behavior that we recognize in previous relationships that we've had. Sometimes it means that somebody comes back into our lives that we haven't seen for a while. So it could present in lots of different ways, but basically the energies for people who chose number 1 this week is that of reviewing previous relationships and patterns of behavior within relationships and whether we're really done with a behavior. So it's almost like, you know how when you've possibly gone through something within a relationship and you've maybe done the same pattern over and over again, and you're kind of like, that's it, I'm done with this is not happening again, I'm not doing this again, this is no longer working for me. You kind of make that really clear decision with yourself and you declare it to the universe that this is no longer okay, you no longer want this. Like, you make that declaration, whether you'd say it like actually vocalize that or just say it internally, you're basically saying I'm done. And then you notice that it's almost like you feel like the universe is testing you. And it's not quite that they're testing you in a way that it's like we're trying to like punish you. It could feel like that, but it's more along the lines of, okay, you have declared that you don't want this anymore, and you may notice that because it is still within your vibration, it's just going to be presented to you again. So maybe somebody is going to come back in and they're going to present you with a choice. You either go back to the old behavior or you stick to what you said that you would do and you say no. And it's more so like leftover energy from the previous pattern of behavior. And it's like reinforcing the fact that you don't want that. And the more you say no to the things that you don't want, the more that through that process of point of attraction, you will attract and manifest more things that are what you want. So essentially, what Spirit's wanting you to say is that if you have said, I no longer will put up with blah, then make sure that your actions are backing up that by saying no to blah and yes to the opposite to blah. Basically, if you've set boundaries for yourself, are you reinforcing those boundaries? And I also want to bring up the fact that that when we do set those boundaries, it could be through work or through relationships, that you will feel like you're being tested. And the important thing to remember is that it's okay if you don't necessarily get it right every time, and not to be blaming of yourself if you're like, damn, I did it again. What's really good is that if you recognize that you did it again, that is part of the process of like clearing up your energy and learning and growing as a person, as a spiritual being as well. So that's for number 1. Let's go to number 2. Okay. So this one is the 6 of Swords. Now, this is mentally moving forward. This is where perhaps we have been mentally stuck within our situation, ruminating on past hurts. This may even come up for people who are not sure whether they made the right decision and second guessing themselves. So I feel like for a lot of you, I feel like I cannot move forward from this this issue. Like, let's say that it was from a breakup or a relationship problems or ending, or it could even be a very close relationship that has ended between you and a family member, and you're finding it difficult to reconcile the things that happened to you during that time. Maybe you're going over and over in your head with what happened, why did it happen, playing out scenarios in your head of, I wish it had happened this way, why didn't I do it that way? And you're energetically keeping yourself tethered to that experience. You may still be wanting to move on, wanting to do your healing, but you're still keeping yourself held there within the traumatic event or toxic relationship, whatever it is for you. You're keeping yourself there by ruminating on it so much. And I mean, I understand the need to understand why it happened or what led to it, or what is it about us that attracted that to begin with. Maybe we wonder whether we deserved it, and it's just one question after another. And a lot of the times we can find the answer. We can actually answer all of those questions. But once we get all those answers, then what do we do? How do we actually fully integrate those learnings within our body and feel like we've understood it, and be able to reconcile that there's nothing that we can actually change within that past experience. Rather, we have to take on the learnings that we've gained from what has happened and be able to move on fully. So for those who chose number 2, for you, it's going to be a matter of going, at what point is the ruminating keeping me locked in to that past event that caused me such pain? And at what point do I really actually need to let go of those thoughts? And is it preventing me, like my search for healing, at what point is it actually preventing me from living my life? And I'm definitely an advocate for becoming the best version of ourselves and working on our healing. But almost sometimes it can be addictive going on a shadow work or a healing process. It being so wrapped up in our own healing process keeps us from actually living our life. It keeps us in the past, living in that trauma or that pain. And we don't get to enjoy the present and the results of the healing that we had to go through. So you can see how it's almost an addictive thing to keep ourselves stuck in the past. And look, that's kind of a protection mechanism, because if we keep ourselves vigilant and we keep ourselves focused on how we can not get hurt again, and we keep ourselves focused in that, then we won't get tricked again, or we might not get used or abused again. We won't let our boundaries get pushed, or we won't go into a workspace where we consistently treated badly, or completely lose ourselves within it. So, for those of you who chose number 2, you got one question to ask yourself. At what point is the ruminating keeping you from actually living your life? So, let's move on to number 3. Oh, okay. So this is for number 3, we have the 7 of Swords in reverse. 7 of Swords is, I'll flip it around for you. There's a lot of yellow in this one. I always imagine that this is like the breaking of dawn. Like the sun is just coming up. You can see that there's some tents in the background, like people are still fast asleep in their tents. Nobody knows what this guy is doing. He's very secretively stepped out of the tent. He got up extra early just before everybody could see him. And he's taken as much as he could. He's like stacked up with 5 swords there. He's like, yes. And he's looking back. He's looking back at the other swords going, yeah, I'll come back for this. I'm going to come back for those 2 swords and nobody's going to catch me. So you can, and actually, that's interesting. I've never noticed this right in the background here. Don't know whether you can see. I love tarot. I've been doing so many readings, and every now and again I'll notice this tiny little detail. Can you see in the back here we've got people that are like just out of reach, and there's like another little tent over here. And there's someone with their sword, almost like they're little shadows that are watching from afar, and they've got their sword drawn there, almost as if like being aware that swords are being taken, and like very covertly witnessing when people are being shady. So this in the reverse is kind of like you're done with this type of behavior. So sometimes when we're witnessing people who are out of integrity, when we're witnessing people doing unethical things, like sometimes we're in a workplace and we may hear or see our workmates or boss or even our friends or family member, partner, whoever it is, but I kind of feel like this is in the workplace, where things are unethical. They say something and you're like, oh, that really feels morally wrong to me. Like you're doing this just for the money, but you're not actually putting the, let's say, client or the customer first. Or maybe it could even be against somebody within the company itself, as in maybe they're gossiping or they're saying something that isn't true about another person, and they're saying it anyway, and you know this other person very well, and you're like, wow, that really does not sound like that other person to me, and it feels like you're doing something to either protect yourself or defamate that person or control and manipulate, and you're witnessing it and you're kind of questioning yourself as to whether, because like possibly you've trusted these people, these are the people that you work with, or they pay your bills, and you don't want to rock the boat, you don't want to get involved so you lose the safety net of your job, but you can't help but feel uncomfortable with it. Now, I think that if for the people that this is resonating with and you're witnessing this within your workplace, that unethical moral behavior that you're questioning, I think the best thing actually isn't to call it out. And so like usually I am kind of an advocate to maybe call people out if you feel personally attacked and things like that. I think in this case, pulling back is going to be your best choice for the moment. And just observe. Observe. If you're questioning it, you need to observe a little bit more. Get more information without even asking. So maybe interact with the other parties that are involved and see what they say naturally without you having to say anything. Don't become a part of it. Don't start asking the other party like, oh, so-and-so said this, what do you think? Or so-and-so said this about you and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's going to have the result that you want. I think that it's possibly going to feed into it and create more confusion, and it's not going to reflect good on you. Whether your intentions are good or not, it won't reflect good on you. That's just not how these situations go down. You may be wanting to help, and it turns out that you get vilified. Just saying. So observe over the next month, I'm going to say, more behaviors so you can be sure what's happening, so you can get a handle on it, and then start making decisions about how you'd like to deal with it, whether it's retracting your... Actually, you might even go as far as to want to leave that job, you know? You might even go as far to leave it. So, yeah, so anyway, take your time so you can go back and you can decide what it is that you want to do. So thanks, guys. That is what we got for the week here. And there's some guys talking outside. Well, I'm almost done, so that's good. So if you'd like to have some personal readings, you can personal message me. You go on to my website, www.etherictide.com. And I do hope you have a good week, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.